Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we've got another review. Today we're going to be reviewing a 2016 Chrysler 200S. So this Chrysler 200S is actually for sale by the owner, and I'll be leaving his contact info either in the description or in the top comment. If you go down there and it's not there anymore, that probably means that he sold the car already. But he is one of my friends, so I am trying to put this car on my channel, do a little review for guys, and if any of you are interested, definitely be sure to reach out to him. So that being said, this Chrysler 200S, it is kind of like this smaller variant of the Chrysler 300. Now, personally, I never really liked the Chrysler 300s because they kind of always look like fake Rolls Royces in my opinion. But this Chrysler 200S does actually look pretty good. It does look like a very practical four-door sedan. And overall, even though it is a Mopar, and Mopars do have a pretty bad tendency for bad reliability, I do feel as though this more modern car is going to be a pretty practical and pretty good daily driver. Now, continuing and talking about the body of this car, so this car is the S trim. There were 8 available trims for this year, except the S trims. They actually came with a Mopar exterior body kit, which it doesn't really look like a body kit, but I guarantee you probably that little tiny diffuser back there, as well as the little accents around the side skirts and the front bumper, are technically a part of that Mopar body kit. And also this year there was 9 available exterior paint color options. This is kind of like in a regular gloss white paint color. Nothing really special. Again, pretty basic, good for daily driving. Definitely not going to get a lot of unwanted attention with this car at all. So now moving on, still talking about the body. One thing that I definitely don't like about this car, and it's a very, very characteristic trait for a lot of Mopars, is that it is pretty damn heavy. So this car actually does weigh 3,473 pounds from factory. That's its curb weight. Again, that's not super up there, but for a car of this size, you would think it would weigh a little bit less. But these Mopars, the Chargers, Challengers, and so on, they definitely have a tendency to weigh a little bit more. Now, that being said, as far as the other overall dimensions go, it's pretty standard car. Has a length of 192.3 inches, a height of 58.7 inches, and a width of 73.6 inches. Now, moving on to the wheels and tire setup for this car, it's basically just the stock factory wheels. The owner actually did just put brand new tires on it, so that's another thing to definitely keep in mind if you are interested in this car. So the wheels, they just look like regular plain Jane alloy 19-inch wheels, and the tires are actually 235s by 40s by 19s. And also the brakes, I don't really know the dimension of the rotors, but the calipers, it looks like regular standard 2-piston calipers in the front, and in the back it does just look like a regular standard 1-piston caliper. Now, as far as the suspension is concerned for this car, it is actually the V6 variant of the 200S. So that does mean that it is all-wheel drive, and it does have a completely independent suspension in both the front and the rear of the car. So combine the completely independent suspension along with the all-wheel drive drivetrain that this car actually has from factory. It definitely handles a lot of pretty bad weather pretty good. Again, that's just my prediction. I'm going to see how it actually handles when I'm in the car driving. Obviously, you guys could tell that it is raining today. It was raining a lot before, so the ground is pretty wet. So that's definitely one thing that I'm going to keep in mind while driving this car today. All right, so now we have the hood popped on this Chrysler 200S, and again, like I did say, it does come with a V6. Honestly, me just looking at it, it does look like it's a transverse mounted engine. I could be wrong, I don't know, because again, it does have this huge plastic cover on top of it. Now, that's one thing that I definitely don't like about modern cars. It's not just specific to this car, but you've seen me, if you've been subscribed to my channel, you've seen me complain about it so many times with certain modern cars, like the new Supra that I did, the entire thing's just covered in plastic. But anyways, this engine is actually a 4-valve per cylinder, double overhead cam, a V6 engine, and it does produce 262 foot-pounds of torque at 4,250 RPMs and 295 horsepower at 6,350 RPMs. So not that much, especially when compared to its little bit higher curb weight, but it can still probably get up and accelerate pretty good into traffic. And again, for daily driving, I'm sure it's probably great, and it's just enough power that you really need, honestly, when you're daily driving. So now, one thing that's actually interesting about this engine when researching this car, I did find out that it does come with a flex fuel tune from factory, so you can run regular unleaded gasoline in it, or you can run E85, or you could do a mixture of both and the engine will run. So going back to the power numbers, I don't really know if they took those power numbers when it was on 91, 93 or E85. I'm not entirely sure, so if you do know, let me know down in the comments below. But it is pretty convenient that this car can run on pretty much everything except for obviously diesel. So now speaking about fuel, this car does get 19 miles per gallon during city driving and 29 miles per gallon during highway driving, for a combined average of 22 miles per gallon. And it does have a 15.8 gallon fuel tank, so it has a approximate range of 285 city miles and 450 highway miles. And this engine is paired with a 9-speed shiftable automatic trans that you can find in the other trims of this here Chrysler 200 as well. And again, it is all-wheel drive, so a combination of kind of like the lower power numbers, a little bit heavier, as well as all-wheel drive and a completely independent suspension. I can guarantee you that this car is pretty great for daily driving, and it probably handles bad weather pretty well on the roads. All right guys, so before I actually take this Chrysler 200S for a little drive, I just want to kind of show you guys the overall interior. Now, the first thing right off the bat that I don't really like about this interior are these two things right here. Now, I know people might like kind of like the newer electronics, but personally, I don't really like the kind of dial, the like gear changing dial that comes in a lot of these like modern automatics, and I don't really like the electronical parking brake. I like more of a mechanical parking brake, but again, I know a lot of people do like the smaller like electronic features that you don't really see in the older cars and you only see in the newer cars. Now also, you do have paddle shifters right here behind the wheel. They feel very light, but they are very small as well. And they're just standard paddle shifters. You have your upshift paddle on the right side as well as your downshift paddle on the left. Inside here, you do have pretty cool like blue LED lighting behind the dials, it actually looks like, so it does kind of give it that really cool like illuminating effect. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty standard. And also one thing that I do really like is the Chrysler 200S seats that this car actually has. Again, the S trim is a little bit more sportier trim, so it does have the exterior body kit as well as these kind of more bolstered front seats. I'm sitting in the driver's seat right now, and I can tell you for sure that these side pieces, these leather side pieces definitely hold you in pretty well. So I'm also going to keep that in mind while driving this car today. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to start this thing up, take it for a little drive, and show you guys my initial reactions. All right, guys, so now I'm actually driving in this 2016 Chrysler 200S. And again, for the most part, feels like a pretty good commuter car. Right now it is or it was raining, but you step on it, it handles the wet pavement fine. Again, it doesn't really throw you back in your seat, but it's definitely more than enough when you're just daily driving. And it is a 4-door sedan, so you do have a decent amount of room in here as well. And I do honestly really like the paddle shifters, although if you don't touch them for a while, it just goes back into regular drive. Yeah, for the most part, it doesn't really accelerate like rapidly. It's not very jerky at all. Even when you're using the paddle shifters and you get it up to like those higher RPMs, everything's very smooth with this car. But when cornering with this car, you do feel almost like a little bit higher up. I don't know why. Again, you are in a sedan, you are in like a regular car, but for some reason, at least when compared to like my car, this car does feel a little bit higher up. And if you take corners a little bit too quick, it does feel, you can feel a little bit of the body roll for sure in this car. Now, that being said, another negative that I don't really like about driving in this car is the overall visibility. Now, the visibility is not terrible, but the A-pillars are pretty big, and you do sit a little bit high up with these more like bolstered seats, and the rear view mirror is pretty big as well. So when you're dealing with like, that's just like the two things that I don't really like. The A-pillars are pretty big, and the rear view mirror is actually pretty big as well, which I find pretty odd because for the most part, you don't really see that much. So I did just put on the defrosters in this car, and one thing that I do find pretty cool is that it does have like mini defrosters right on the side of the door there that just kind of defrost this area of both of like the front side windows, so you do kind of have that the side view mirror available for you. So I do honestly think that's kind of cool. Again, that's something like that's like pretty like minor, but I do think that that's something that's pretty ingenious, because I haven't honestly really seen that before in any other vehicle that I've done a review on. So now that being said, guys, I know I did kind of talk about a little bit of the negatives before. This car does have a decent amount of body roll. It is a little bit heavier, and I don't really like the visibility, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure that this car would definitely make for a pretty fun to drive daily commuter car. And honestly, I know it sounds kind of funny, but when I'm like driving this car, and just like the overall like feel that I get from this car is kind of like an Uber car. Like it's a more like new car. It's a more new car. It definitely has a decent amount of features in it. It's not super expensive, probably not out of most people's budget and price range, but it is a 4-door, has those modern conveniences, and for the most part it's not like super fast, and it is very comfortable on the roads. So that's why I feel like this would be definitely something, like if I were to call an Uber, this would definitely be something to like kind of like pick me up, or this, or like a Honda Accord or something like of that nature, like a more modern 4-door sedan. So that being said, guys, that's pretty much just going to wrap up today's review. Again, not like a completely like crazy car like a Hellcat or a C7 that I've done in the past, but again, this is my friend's car. I'm going to have his phone number in the description, as well as I'm probably going to put it in like a pinned comment down below. So if you are in New Jersey or the tri-state area and you are serious about this car, either contact him at that phone number or email me at my email in the description below, and I'll, you know, shoot you over his contact info. And again, if it's like, you know, 6 months from now, a year from now, or whatever, and you don't see his phone number in the description or in the comments, he probably sold the car already. All right, so again, guys, that's pretty much just gonna wrap it up. Like always, thank you guys for all the support. Again, definitely be sure to subscribe down below for more car reviews in the future, DIY videos, car show vlogs, automotive news, things of that nature. And also, when you do subscribe, be sure to hit the bell so you get notified every single time that I upload a video. I upload at least 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But until next one, see you guys.